Hello and welcome. We have about 5 minutes before we officially start. You'll see a little bit.ly link for you. I posted a link in the chat if you wanted to get started and check that out. Definitely let me know how you're doing in dog scale in the chat. It's a good way for us to start engaging with each other, interacting a little bit, and we will get started in now 4 minutes. Looking forward to it. Welcome, everybody. We have about 2 more minutes. If you haven't already checked out the link that's in the chat, I'm going to share it for you. Please click on it, check it out. It's a good way for me to get to know you before we even get started. And then we will start talking all things summer and Screencastify. Welcome, everyone. I see a few of you have just joined in. I'm so happy to have you here. We're going to get started talking about planning for summer with Screencastify. If you have one moment, I would love for you to check in on the dog scale so I can get a sense of how you're feeling today, what you're doing. Also allows me to make sure that the chat is working and everyone has access to it. That way we can freely communicate with each other while the webinar is happening. But I like to kind of check all systems before we get started. So I'm just going to give a moment and look at the chat and see. Oh, great. We have a 6. Oh, hey, Shannon. How are you? Good to see you here. We've got a 6. We have a 4. Awesome. Let's get a couple more people. Let's see how we're feeling. All right. Let's wait for one more person to let us know how they're feeling in the chat. Give us a rating on the dog scale. I was a kind of a combo, a little bit of a 5 and a 9 and a 6 today. I was kind of all over the place. But I'm in New York. We have a couple more weeks to go with our school year. So I think you all know when you're at that point of the school year where that you can really experience all of the emotions at once. All right. Well, I wanted to kick us off with a quick introduction. Again, this is our Launching Student Success with Screencastify. We're going to talk today about how you can utilize Screencastify to support students over your summer break. What I would like for you all to do, that you're either on the call with me now or you're watching the recording, to start thinking about those activities that you typically assign. I know many of you that are watching are in different areas of the country, of the world. So your school years are wrapping up at different times. Perhaps it already did. So whether this serves as something for you to think about for next year, or if it's something that you can set up and still send out to engage with your families, I want to talk about it today. I have the chat open. I really do thrive and love your participation, your questions, any of those moments that you're like, wait, hold on a second. What about me? What can I do? And I want to talk through your needs and your thoughts. So if I'm covering something that's too basic for you, push me. If it's too fast for you, let me know. It's just really important. And we have this hour together to really maximize for you. So let's talk a little bit about Screencastify. If you've already been to one of my webinars or PD sessions, you're familiar with my cheesy GIFs. But I'm Erica Rogan. It's so nice to meet you. I am excited to show you what we can do today. You'll see this little cheesy GIF in the background. There's a couple of other slides that have it. I do it for a couple of reasons. One, to be silly, to give you a little bit of my personality and make it a little bit lighter. Also to show you other ways that you can use Screencastify. So, you know, a lot of us have thought about Screencastify as a tool strictly for recording lessons, particularly lengthy lessons. And it has changed so much. I've had so many amazing conversations with people around the country who are like, oh yeah, I use this a lot during COVID times. I haven't really looked back. It's a completely different tool, a completely different product. We're on today's webinar, we're not going to be getting into a lot of the how to use all of the features of Screencastify. I'll probably be mentioning things in passing just so you're aware. And when this webinar is wrapped up, you're going to get this recording, you're going to get my slides, all of the goodies that I like to create for you. And you're also going to get asynchronous slides that have all those how-tos. So I don't want to lose you if you're on this call and you're like, eek, what is she talking about? I want you to know that you'll have access to all of the information that you can look at over your summer break. You're also going to get my email address that you can stay in touch with me and let me know what questions you have and what needs you have. But what I would really like is to keep an eye on the chat. I'm looking at it right now. I'm curious how familiar you are with Screencastify, and how often you use it, just so I have a sense. I don't want to go too fast, too far. But we have a small group today, so we could really tailor it. So let's see. I'm looking at the chat, hoping to see. I already know Shannon's experience. Anyone else want to share with us, or we'll just kind of keep going? All right. Okay, good. Sandra, thank you for being open. Thank you for telling us that you're a novice. I don't want to lose you if I'm sharing anything that you feel like is going too fast. We can always keep in touch. I can always send you information, but I'm hoping at least from this webinar, it's going to pique interest, excitement, and then you can pick the one thing you really want to settle on, and then I can support you too. So because this is not totally the how to use all of the tools, I'll make sure we cover what you need. So stay in the chat with me and let me know. And you're only seeing the ones you're sending. Okay, so I'm going to look. I have it set to everyone. So let's keep an eye on how that goes. So far, it's only been you and one other person that's been chatting with me. So we are so far okay. We're a really small group, but I know a lot of people have signed up for the recording. So you might get some one-on-one attention, which might be helpful. So definitely, I'll keep the chat open for you. Stop me when I say something that strikes a chord and that you're like, oh, let's dig in. What I wanted to kick us off with is giving you a little bit of a sense of my plan. I'm always happy to shift and make those changes, but I wanted to talk about and do some brainstorming about typical assignments that I know are often shared out with families, and then how Screencastify will be able to support you. Since we're a small group, the questions, thoughts, feedback, all that can be happening in the moment. So, we kind of won't follow this totally to the T. Again, you see my cheesy GIFs. So again, if you're interested in that, we'll make sure we talk about it while we're together. What I want to do is have you really think about the work that you often send out. And Screencastify is going to be able to support you in the representation of that information. So I want us to think about things like, okay, if I sent this out, can my families truly do this without me? Is there something that they might need clarification? Would it benefit them to see a model or a demonstration? And I'm going to show you today how then you can consider recording that walkthrough and then sending it either as a link or a QR code. So if you have packets that you're already ready to send out, you just want to make a recording of that process, you'll be able to do that. If you want to think about how offering this content in a way that supports multilingual families and different languages, I'll cover how you can use Screencastify to support translation of those videos, whether it's closed captioning or AI voiceover. So we'll make sure that you have ideas on how you can make your videos more inclusive and accessible. The other question is to think about that action and expression, how our students are demonstrating their learning. Because Screencastify can revolutionize the way that your students can show their learning, we can think about some of those packets, some of those activities that we often send out year after year. And is there a way that I can really beef this up a little bit, support my students in showing me what they know? I think about my own kids' experiences. I have a range of elementary, middle, high. Do we want to rethink those reading logs we might send out, or some of those different activities? So that's kind of where I want our headspace to be in while we're talking about different use cases and ways that Screencastify can support us. So the first two examples I wanted to kind of go over is the first idea with embedding a QR code. You might already have papers ready to go. You might be at the very end of your school year. Some of you have ended already or ending really soon, and you're like, I need to just get these out and be done. So I want to go over the first example with how we can just take that same packet that we might be including, but add a QR code of our demonstration. So I want to go over that. The next piece that we'll talk about is this same idea. You're all familiar with this. We've seen it a million times during the COVID times when we created these Bitmoji classroom spaces or libraries for students. It's just another way that we can start to support our students with video, because along the same lines of a QR code, we can talk about having those read alouds provided digitally, where we can link to each one of our books. We can have a recording of us. We can then translate it, or we can start to ask our students to create and read for us. So let's get into those two ideas first. I still have the chat open, so I want you to stop me if we get to that point. But the first thing I want you to see is this is the same worksheet that was on that presentation. I love Canva. I find all templates, resources in there, and then I usually use my Screencastify to then start to embed and add and enhance my practice. So because Sandra, you said you're new, and it's a small group, I'll just quickly show you that what I typically do is when this worksheet is on my screen, I'll open up my webcam. I will make sure that my drawing tools are enabled. I'll want to record my full screen. And what I'll end up doing is recording. If you can see as I'm clicking, I'll end up recording a tutorial and a demonstration for students. So what's really neat is that as I use all of my different drawing tools, and we won't have time to go into all of it today, I want you to turn it on and play around with it. But you'll notice that I have some other features where I'm able to turn on a pen. I'm able to use all different cursors. And what I can do is just go through the first example like I normally do as best practice. So now what I can is record this process that I want my students to count out how many groups, and then I want them to write an equation. So I'm just writing over my screen. So I know I'm showing you a second grade math worksheet, but depending on your levels, whether you're pre-K through 12 or higher ed, you can start to think about paper-based or enhancing paper-based worksheets or instructions that you're sending home. Again, we're thinking about that summer activity that we want to give kids. So I am now taking this opportunity to go over the screen and then record my voice as I'm talking. And then I can walk through that model. And once I'm finished, I'm going to be able to hit stop. And Screencastify is going to bring this into my account. And what I want you to see, we're not going to get into all of the details, but you're noticing that it's going to open up in my account. I have different accounts, so just bear with me for 1 second. I'm just going to open up. And what you'll notice is my recording of this worksheet will be now in my Screencastify account. Now, some of you are probably now looking at this like, okay, it's completely changed since COVID times. Definitely take time to play. If you've hopped on a little bit later, you missed when I shared that we're not going to get into every single feature of Screencastify on this one, but you're going to get all that information and those how-tos after when you get the email recording of all of this information. So if I'm missing anything, you can certainly join me in the chat and ask those questions, but you're going to be getting an email with really getting into everything that's on the side here. Today, we won't be able to do that. What I would like you to do is know that once I click AI Assistant, I'm now going to be enhancing my video with a beautiful title, a beautiful description. And Shannon, I know that you know this because you're on the webinar with me, but we've done a lot of work together. The newest is chaptering, where AI is going to split up my video into sections. So if I do have a long video, and Sandra's saying she's a virtual teacher, so everything's online. So if I have a long video that I want to break into certain portions, maybe I do have a lesson that with some skills that I want my students to be watching throughout the year or throughout the summer. I now have these sections broken up that I can use AI's recommendations, or I can edit and create my own so students can go back. So let's stay with the same idea. If I created a video on second grade multiplication steps, because it's going to accompany a packet I sent home, or it's going to be attached to my learning management system assignment, and I'm sending it out digitally. Either way, I can have a demonstration of the steps in the process. I can also have a lengthier lecture of what they need to do. And this chaptering is going to allow my students to go to certain sections. So that's going to be a really exciting game changer for anyone that wants to have something lengthy, but allow their students to hop around a video. Maybe I need to go back to this one strategy and check that piece again. So this is a really exciting update. I'm going to hop into preview for just a moment so you can see that what this looks like as the viewer. what we talked about in the very beginning with our mindset and thinking about, is this something that now I have made accessible for my families, whether they need to view it several times, whether parents or tutors need to look at how we ran an activity so they can support our students. We know all this is happening in the summer. As I scroll, you're going to see that there's a transcript on the right. I have the ability to translate the closed captioning into all of these different languages. And I'll just scroll for you to kind of take that peek. Hopefully I'm not making you nauseous, but you can see there's a lot of representation of languages that can support our families and our students, especially our students who are still acquiring English as a language, but are going to be doing this work over the summer. You're now able to seamlessly communicate back and forth with one another. I can also change the voiceover of this video so my families and students can listen to it in the language that they prefer. You'll see English is checked off, and that's because the language of my recording is English. So if somebody recorded in a different language, that would be checked off, and then I can switch it to English for myself. So let's think about that in terms of maybe asking our students to make videos. If we wanted them to send videos of their work, of their progress, that's something that we can do. As I scroll down, this is where your students and families will see the description and those chapters that they can access. So that's a really exciting change. When I go back to my original video to my account, I want you to see what we were talking about before. When I'm ready to share, I can grab the link of my video, which then I can paste anywhere that I need it to. I can also click share, where then I can either post it in my Google Classroom, or this is what I was talking about for the physical paper. I can take this QR code now, and all I have to do is copy that tutorial, and I can hop back into my Canva worksheet and paste it right in there. And now I'm ready to then print, save out, and I've turned this packet that I'm going to be sending to families, and I've provided either multilingual support, I've provided more accessibility, and I've given students and families the opportunity to watch, rewatch often, as many times as they want. So that was our first example. And then I touched on it a little bit when we were talking about being able to just grab that link, because if I copy that link, I can paste it anywhere in my Google Slides. So if I've created, let's go back to what we were looking at as our example. If I've created any kind of bookcase or book shelf within my Google Slides for students and families, I can come into my slide deck and I can now link those videos. So my students know that if I want to listen to Just Ask, I can click it and I can view that video. You can also do the flip side where you provide this slide deck to students and you're asking them through the summer to record themselves and link it for each book. So you can start to think about inviting students as your co-creators in doing that. And the bonus of that is then you can start to curate a library of student work that you either can share out with team members if you need that, if you're building a portfolio, or if you just want it for now your new students coming in, you can have that library ready to go. Since we're talking about sharing, let's make sure you're aware that once I am in my settings of my video, I am able to add team members who can view or make a copy of my videos. So I think that's really awesome. It's important to know. And if students are sending any videos to me, then I'm able to save that and share that with colleagues as well. Sticking with this idea of making that recording for students, I want you to know that you do have the ability to add and embed questions in your video. So clicking on AI quiz, it opens up the same video, and I'm able to either manually add questions or I'm able to use AI to come up with questions. So if you wanted to create any opportunities for students to read that book or listen to your reading and embed some comprehension checks and questions, you can go ahead and put that in your video recording. And you can do that by moving your cursor to any location of your video and either manually entering it for you or using AI to come up with those questions. What you'll notice, and I'll show you what this looks like, your question type could either be multiple choice, short answer, or both. You can select the number that you like, and you can select your grade level. I'm a speech language pathologist. I work in a middle school. I work in self-contained classes and co-teach classrooms. I can come in and choose multiple grade levels that I need or focus on one. And once AI generates those questions for me, I can also go back and have it add in additional grade levels if I'd like. So I'm going to just click so you can see. What I do want you to know is that if you have grade back capabilities enabled with your learning management system, that will sync for you. And that if you use AI quiz and grading, like I'm doing right now, Screencastify will auto grade for you. So if you wanted to keep track on how students were doing with comprehension checks, again, if this is someone, you have students that are in any intervention groups that you want to kind of maintain those skills, and then when you collect that data, share with your teams for next year, you can seamlessly do this with Screencastify. Once I generate those questions, we'll wait while it's doing it, and then you'll see the questions pop up. It's going to be analyzing the transcript that I had provided, and you'll see that it's already giving me correct and incorrect responses. I can choose to add, and you can see here's an example of the short answer. It will grade, and you see this little notation. It's going to compare to their response. If you're asking for any kind of short answer typed, you can have errors in spelling, in grammar. AI will try to match it, and if anything, it flags it for you, so you're able to easily see that. You'll have all of this information in depth when I send you this. I just want you to have a preview and start to feel like, oh man, I can totally do this with this assignment that I'm planning on sending. I can add all. I can add individual ones, and then I can always regenerate to go back, keep the ones I chose, and come back and look at that. So this is just another way that you can start to think about those skills that you want to maintain over the summer. I do have a lot of information I'll send you on what the quiz responses look like and all those features, but I want to make sure we're covering your needs and we're going through some different examples for you to see. Some of your school districts will have the ability for students to have their own accounts where then they can make these videos, they can come up with questions and use those links for you. Some other districts do not, and we will talk about that as well. I wanted to think about transforming reading logs into a submit assignment because we often ask students to keep track of their reading. We ask them to, sometimes we have questions for them that we want them to specifically ask and answer. So I wanted you to see that we do have submit available. On the left-hand side of my dashboard, I'm able to kind of go through all of our different features that we have. And clicking on submit is where my students will be able to make those videos and send them to me from an assignment. So you can think about this as your Flip replacement. Anybody that's lost access to Flip is able to do this in the same way where you've created this opportunity for students to reflect back or record their screens for you. So it doesn't have to be the reading log. It can be the same worksheet we were talking about digitally. It could be really anything where my students are able to interact with this assignment that I make. What I want you to know is when I put the details in, I'm able to add any information. I can add links with rubrics or sample videos. This is where I'm able to then decide the type of recording I like to make. So do I want them recording their screen and webcam or just their webcam or just their screen? I want you to pay attention to this setting here where you can generate a link or push this out to your Google Classroom. If you push it out to your Google Classroom, it maintains the same workflow as Google Classroom, so you're familiar with that. If not, if you use Schoology, Canvas, or you want this to be an interactive or collaborative activity, you're going to leave it on generate a link, and you'll notice that now you have some settings where students can view each other's videos. And what's nice about that is that your students can comment on each other's video. So now if we've assigned this reading log to say, this assignment is just what book did you read over the summer, they can create either a slide demonstration that they're talking through or just a webcam reflection and we can invite students to watch each other's video and offer comment or feedback on the book. Maybe students are reading a book that now you want the assignment to be a book trailer, and you want them to design a book trailer for the following grade, right? The grade that's coming up, to get them excited. And students can view each other's videos and start adding those comments to one another. Like, that sounds so exciting. I haven't read this one yet, right? And you can put all that information in here. Usually I give some sentence starters with how to agree or disagree, because that's always helpful. So the opportunities become endless and very exciting. Shannon's asking, do teachers have to approve the comments? That is not a feature right now, but it is a really good point that I'll pass on, because you are trusting that students are being respectful. You can certainly invite students to leave those comments at a certain time frame. So maybe when you know that you're back online, and preparing for school, maybe not all summer long. I think we can come up with some of those other parameters, but you're right. We can't at this point approve those comments, but teachers can delete, and you're also able to see who has left those comments. So that's unfortunately, not that anyone wants to get in trouble over the summer, but you're able to see that. Teachers also can leave private feedback on those videos for students. So I think that's an exciting feature as well. So just rethinking, how am I inviting my students to make these videos? Maybe I'm a science teacher and I'm not focusing on books, but I want them to do an activity, an experiment. Maybe I want to know about what they did over the vacation. So we can certainly bring to life any of these opportunities with a submit assignment. So that is another exciting way to be able to use Screencastify. And I have a couple of other ideas here. When you get these slides, these are all linked with the templates. So if you see it and want to grab it, some of it is early elementary, but the idea is the same for any grade level. If you wanted students building words and then recording themselves reading it, acting it out, there's just ways to really make this engaging. And whether I'm asking them to do this in a submit assignment, or just having the demonstration of me walking through it. So there are a lot of opportunities. This is a fun math space that our district shares out a lot with the Bridges program that our elementary schools and middle school uses. And so once again, it's this idea of, do I just have to add a nice QR code for families so they know what to do with this and they have access to this? Or is this something that I want students to be interacting with and engaging? And I have a fun bingo game here that I found on Canva that, once again, I could just ask students to record this on a slide and talk about what they did. So it's really, really exciting. And I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear about what you typically do before I show you any other Screencastify features. If you jump in the chat, what are some of the activities that you plan on or have sent out to students? So I'm looking at the chat. I know some of you might be typing. It's going to revolutionize reading logs. Absolutely, Emily. I find that the reading logs is sometimes the one thing that makes my own kids not want to read, because it's like, oh, I have to write it and I don't like writing. Or for one of my kids, it's like lost. But if I'm asking them to act out, if I'm asking them to just review or talk about it, it can completely change access for some, because now I'm not asking them to do any writing, but engagement for others. And we do have, if you're interested, it's a little plug, and I can always email it to you if you want it. We have a blog post on our Screencastify website about how you can actually have students make stop motion animation videos using Google Slides. I do it all the time with students as like a retell activity, with just creating a slide and then duplicating and like moving things a little bit. So Shannon's asking for it. I'll make sure I send it to you. And I actually did it recently with students. They were reading Ulysses in the middle school, and we had the map and a little ship. And as we went through, we moved the ship to each location, and then the students talked about what happened. And then they moved the ship, and they had a little GIF of like a mermaid pop up and talked about that. And if you were a kid in the 80s that did like claymation or stop motion stuff on your own, this is where it's the same idea of duplicating, scooching a little bit, duplicating, scooching, and in slideshow mode, it's a cartoon. So being able to do that was really exciting, and I see some more interest. So what I'll do is I'm hoping to give you a little bit of time while we're on this webinar to play, and I can grab that link and put it in the chat for you. So I want you to see that and think about that. Emily is saying, love the idea of using Submit as a community building tool for summer. We can spotlight different students and their learning. And I think that's the nice thing, because I don't know about your schools. Some schools do have expectations of summer and work, and some of us just want to keep that community going and building. You can also think about using Screencastify for yourself, for your incoming students, and how maybe you want to give a little tour of the school. Maybe you're creating your own assignment that you're sharing with your new students with like, this is what I've done. What are you up to? And send that out once you have those rosters and start to already build that community before they even walk in the door. So I think that's always really, really big. Any other thoughts about ideas for what you have already sent out or what you're planning on sending out? Especially anyone who is really new to Screencastify and is kind of like, this is what I want to do, but I don't know how to do it. Because I do want to give you some time to explore while you're here. We have some time together. I'm still looking at the chat. We're going to do an activity in a moment, but I will be giving you access to, I have kind of like a K to 12. I always like to do crosswalks with different ideas. So if we haven't talked about it today in the webinar, I have a few other ideas of how we can encourage that type of learning and practice. And I'm happy to show you while I have you. I'm still looking at the screen to see if anybody else wants to jump in with some thoughts and ideas. Again, we're a smaller group, so I'm happy to personalize it while we're chatting. And then I will show you a few other ideas and then give you some space to get started. You can see as I'm scrolling, I've got multiple accounts everywhere, so I have to find where this is. Any other thoughts? I want to find my activity for you and I'm not able to find it. All right, I'll find it later. I have it linked, so why don't we try that? And I see a hand. Feel free to jump in the chat if you want to talk about some ideas, and I'll just slowly scroll for you while we're waiting. But go ahead. I think this is Ree. I don't know if you can unmute because it's a webinar, but definitely come in the chat. I'm looking for you there. I saw that you had a hand raised. But I don't see you in the chat yet. So I'm just going to scroll for you so you can just get a couple of ideas. My hope for our time together is that you see something that sparks some excitement. And then even if this says K to 2, it's still sparking some ideas for your grade level. I think it's really helpful. This is going to be in the slides that I give you because I do like giving goodies to kind of get us excited. And you can see the common theme is I'm offering, hey, a QR code as a simple way to share that video, a submit activity, or just inviting your students to make those recordings. You really can do so much with it. So I'm just scrolling. You can tell me to stop if I'm making you nauseous. I'm just staring at the chat while we do it. But you see it's kind of similar idea, right? And we're just going up through the grade levels. So I will make sure that you have all of this. And while I still wait for you, I will make sure that we talk about a few other things that you just should know about, especially if you are new to Screencastify. When you are playing around, I want you to check your account. Oh, hi, Dan. How are you? I have a note in here saying that you record your lessons and use AI. Yes, so they have to listen to you no matter what. I love it. You're going to really like the chaptering also because you're going to be able to then have those videos have sections where I know if you want to start making study guides and resources in that way. So even if you're on this webinar thinking about you're a PD designer and you're just like, I don't want to do worksheets, but I'm planning for next year, start using chapters to create those study guides so students can go back to 15 minutes and 1 second if they wanted to be able to find and access any information they need. Just know that you have the ability to watch videos that are sent to you, so you can flag that. And you should know, if you don't already, that you have access and will have access to Premium Library, where you'll be able to pull in YouTube for education videos. And you'll be able to then embed those quizzes and those activities as well. Live learning is where we can launch any of our video quizzes live in the moment. So I wasn't going to go over that today because we're talking more about kind of asynchronous or learning to help support your students during that summer break. But you could know that live learning is kind of like a Kahoot. You can take any of these quizzes that you've designed, whether it's your own, whether your students made it, or it from Premium, and any questions that you have embedded, you can launch live. You'll get a code, you'll get, and then it's basically teacher directed. Students can't move through without you advancing them, and they're competing with one another. So you'll see all that information in the async slides and on our website also. But I wanted you to know that's there. And since we had a lot of excitement with Submit and revolutionizing reading logs, I want you to know that anything that is submitted, I'm on my dashboard right now, and I'm able to really see how many submissions I have on videos. And I'm able to pull those videos into my Screencastify account. And I want you to see that really quickly before I give you some time to play, because this is another way that it's going to be a game changer. If I click on new video, anything sent to me in Submit or anything that I'm creating on Screencastify gets saved to my Google Drive. So if I click on my Drive account and I come into my Screencastify Submit folder that's already automatically created, I can open up any of those submit videos and I can pull that in to my account. So let me see if I can find something that I don't want to use something that someone has submitted, but if I do, this one has, I think, a bunch of videos of me. So if I have a video that I'm like, oh my gosh, this student's book trailer or summary of their vacation or whatever it is, I want to pull this into my account. I can now pull it in. I can now embed questions. I can use AI translation and closed captioning. I can use that as a student model and start to pull it in to edit my videos. So it's here. It's available, especially if I want to start thinking a little bit ahead and ask students if I give them, let's say, math problems that I want them to work through. Well, I can pull that in and use that for next year if I want to start building a database and have some student work samples. So here's that video that I can click on, and I've pulled it directly in from my Screencastify, and I can start to utilize all these other features. There's me being silly again to make sample videos. Any thoughts or questions? Any ideas? I'm going to give you a moment to play, but I just want to see how we're feeling. I'm not hearing from anyone, so I'm feeling like we're okay. Oh, then, yeah, I'm going to make sure. So what you're going to get at the end of this, he's asking if I can post slides. So when the webinar is wrapped up, you're going to get the slides. So you'll get links to everything that's here. You'll get my asynchronous slides that break up things that we haven't even covered today, and then you'll get this recording. Okay. I want us to play a little bit. What I want you to do is try out a submit activity as a student. What I want you to do is see what it's like, and then I'll give you some time to actually create your own. I'm going to put this in the chat for you. That way you can click on it. You're going to see this as a student. So again, I showed you kind of the basics of how to create. If you click on this, it's going to say, think about something that we talked about today that you might want to do. Whether this is Dear Me in the future, hey, I want to remember this in the fall when I come back to do this with my students, or I want to do this next week when I have a moment on my prep to sit and kind of change up my summer packet or my summer information. Just make a super quick video. And I want you just to see what that process is like and how you might be able to view each other's videos. So what I'm going to do is give us a timer. I want to make sure you're able to access the link. So can someone give me a thumbs up and let me know that it worked? Okay, thank you. I'm just going to put a timer on just so you can click and experience a submit assignment on the student end. I'm just going to give us about 3 minutes to record and check out other submissions. I'm going to be looking at the chat for you to come back and tell me how it is and what you experienced. So if anybody has questions, I'll be here. But I want to put the timer on so we can do that. So hopefully you've clicked the link and are able to kind of record, and I will stop talking so you can do that. Okay, that is our time. Hopefully you had a moment to click on the link and check it out. I would love to hear from you in the chat about what you thought, particularly your ease of access, and if you think that this is something that your students will be able to use. I mean, I already know the answer, but I would love to hear from you. I'm just popping in to see if there were any submissions that any of you might have recorded to send in, so you could fully play. But I don't know, so I'm not sure. Maybe a few of you are on here just to kind of grab the recording, and I get that. So when you have a chance, that assignment is open for you. So definitely check it out, because if you do make a recording, I can send it to you in the fall as a nice reminder. But I think that um, if there's anything else, I can definitely help you out. Robin, oh, I wonder if you're the Robin. I know someone named Robin Bryan. Are you the Robin that I know? Overall, it's simple, but there weren't any tests for microphone and my recording didn't have sound. Okay, I can help you problem solve if you want when we get off, but that's something to definitely check system settings for, and we can look into that, because that on my end, on the assignment end, it should auto load for you, but we'll make sure that all is working. But it is simple. That ease of access is something where our young elementary school students can use, especially you saw that you're clicking a link. I use it with my students in self-contained classrooms. I have students with communication devices that make recordings, and it is completely accessible with any text-to-speech screen readers. So it's really supportive for any students and any grade levels and abilities. So super exciting. We have only a few minutes left, and I want to make sure that if you're here, you have some time to play and get some help. You're going to get a feedback link in the email from me also, but you'll see that bit.ly link here. I would love your feedback because that I use to help myself with my practice and as I grow. I want you to have my email address if you have any questions. As you start to dig into this and use this for your own work, I want you to come back and be like, wait, you said I could do this and it's not working. I will always get back to you or get in touch with somebody that can help you. And if you have direct Screencastify product questions, I want you to have that email. But the remainder of our time, I want to honor for you, and I will stay on so you can play and try to make some changes to what you normally use. And I want you to be able to have access to me. So I'm going to stay on for you and be here if you need help. And thank you to anyone who is here that is sticking it out and had some fun playing and exploring. But I will hang on for you if you want to play. Just let me know so I know that I'm hanging on for you. Otherwise, thank you very much. Thank you, Connie. Keep us posted. Let us know what you do and how you use it. Looks like people are leaving, but I'm happy to hang. Okay, everybody, that's our time. I'm looking at the chat to see if those of you that are on have any remaining questions or needs. And if not, you have my email to keep in touch with me. And if anything else comes up and you need any help, just let me know. It looks like there's 2 people on and a couple of note takers. So I'm going to give it about 30 seconds and then I'll end the call and look for your feedback and your emails for any help that you need.